The probe floated in the darkness like a dying star. Captain Dae-hyun Kim stood on the bridge of the UEC horizon, watching the alien object spin slowly on the main screen. It was beautiful in a strange way, silver metal covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when he looked at them directly. "How long has it been out here?" Dae-hyun asked. Dr. Hana Cho looked up from her station. Her dark eyes were bright with excitement. "The computer says at least 500 years. Maybe longer. The metal doesn't match anything in our database." Lieutenant Tae-sung Park crossed his arms. He was the youngest officer on the bridge, but his face was serious. "Captain, we should leave it alone. We don't know what it does. It could be dangerous." Dae-hyun understood Tae-sung's worry. The young man had good instincts, but they had traveled 3 months to reach this sector. They couldn't leave without learning something. "Dr. Cho, can you scan it safely?" Hana nodded. "I think so. The readings show it's dormant. No power source that I can detect." Her fingers moved across the controls, running a deep scan now. The bridge fell silent. Everyone watched the screen. The probe's symbols suddenly stopped moving. They began to glow with a soft blue light. Tae-sung reached for his weapon, but Dae-hyun held up his hand. "Wait," the captain said quietly. The probe opened like a flower. Inside, a hologram appeared. It showed a map of the galaxy with hundreds of glowing points. One point near the edge pulsed with red light. Dae-hyun recognized the location immediately. It was Earth. "It's broadcasting," Hana said. Her voice shook slightly. "Sending coordinates." "Our coordinates. Can you stop it?" Tae-sung asked. "No, the signal is already gone. Traveling faster than light." Hana turned to look at Dae-hyun. "Captain, I think we just told someone we're here." 3 days later, they arrived. The ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system without warning. Massive vessels that made humanity's largest warships look like children's toys. They didn't attack. They simply waited. The horizon raced back to Earth at maximum speed. By the time they arrived, the alien ships had moved into orbit around the moon. Dae-hyun had never seen anything so terrifying and wonderful at the same time. A message came through on all frequencies. It was in perfect English, as if the speaker had studied humanity their entire life. "Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Galactic Council. We have come to welcome you to the greater community. We wish to speak with your leaders." Dae-hyun was ordered to report to Earth immediately. He found himself in a conference room with the most important people in human government. Chancellor Sun-ho Lee sat at the head of the table. The old man looked tired. "Captain Kim, you activated the probe." "Yes, sir. I take full responsibility." The Chancellor waved his hand. "No one is blaming you. We would have found it eventually. The question is, what do we do now?" Before anyone could answer, the lights dimmed. A hologram appeared at the center of the table. The alien was like nothing Dae-hyun had ever imagined. It had 6 limbs and a body covered in smooth crystal. Its face had no eyes, but somehow Dae-hyun knew it was looking at them. "I am Ambassador Valerix of the Thalvine species. I represent the Galactic Council." The voice was musical and strange. "We have observed your species from a distance for many years. You have achieved faster than light travel. This means you are ready for contact." Chancellor Lee stood up. "We welcome this contact, Ambassador. Humanity has wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know." "You are not alone," Valerix said. "There are 147 species in the Council. You will be the 148th if you choose to join us." Hana leaned forward. "What does joining mean?" The ambassador tilted its crystalline head. "It means peace. It means prosperity. It means protection. The galaxy is vast and dangerous, but together we have created a civilization that has lasted 12,000 years without war." 12,000 years? Dae-hyun couldn't help but ask. "Without any war at all?" "None. We learned long ago that violence is primitive. Evolution favors cooperation, not conflict." Valerix paused. "But you are different. You come from what we call a death world." "A death world?" Chancellor Lee frowned. "What does that mean?" "Your planet is classified as Class 12 on the danger scale, the highest classification. Most intelligent life evolves on peaceful worlds with mild climates and abundant resources. Earth is not such a world. Your planet has extreme weather, deadly predators, diseases that kill millions, scarcity that forces competition." The room was quiet. Dae-hyun looked around at the human faces. They all wore the same expression, pride mixed with unease. Most species never develop the traits you possess, Velarix continued. Aggression, adaptability, the willingness to fight and die for abstract concepts. These traits are rare in the galaxy, and dangerous. Are you saying we're too dangerous to join your council? Taesung asked. His voice was sharp. No, but there are conditions. You must disarm your military forces. You must allow us to monitor your genetic development. You must accept council guidance in all matters of expansion and colonization. The ambassador's tone didn't change. These rules exist for everyone's safety, including yours. The chancellor's face went pale. You want us to give up our ability to defend ourselves? You won't need defense. The council will protect you. We have maintained galactic peace for 12 millennia. Trust us. Daehyun felt something cold settle in his stomach. This wasn't a welcome. It was a threat disguised as kindness. We need time to discuss this, Chancellor Lee said carefully. Of course. We invite you to send representatives to our capital, Primus Station. There you will see the benefits of joining us. You will understand that our way is the only way to survive in the galaxy. The hologram flickered. Captain Kim and Dr. Cho, you will come as Earth's ambassadors. Your ship will be escorted to Primus Station within the week. The hologram vanished before anyone could protest. Taesung looked at Daehyun. Captain, this feels wrong. I know, Daehyun said quietly. He looked at Hana. She nodded slowly. They both understood. Humanity had just been given a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. 5 days later, the Horizon left Earth orbit. 3 massive council ships surrounded them like guards, or like jailers. Daehyun watched his home planet grow smaller on the screen. He wondered if he would ever see it again. Hana stood beside him. What do you think we'll find at Primus Station? I don't know, Daehyun admitted. But I have a feeling we're walking into something much bigger than first contact. Do you think they're lying about the peace? Daehyun thought about the ambassador's words. 12,000 years without war. It sounded impossible. No, I think they're telling the truth. But I don't think they're telling us everything. The jump to faster-than-light speed made the stars stretch into lines. Daehyun felt the ship shake slightly as they entered the hyperspace corridor. The council escorts matched their speed perfectly. Taesung joined them on the bridge. I've been studying the council's transmissions, learning what I can about their technology. And, Daehyun asked, they're centuries ahead of us, maybe more. If they wanted to destroy Earth, they could do it in an afternoon. Taesung's jaw tightened. We're completely at their mercy. Hana shook her head. Not completely. We have something they don't. What's that? We know how to survive on a death world. That has to count for something. Daehyun looked at his crew. Young faces, brave faces, human faces. Whatever waited for them at Primus Station, they would face it together. Humanity was about to step onto the galactic stage, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Primus Station was impossible. That was the first thought that entered Daehyun's mind when he saw it. The structure hung in space like a perfect crystal, orbiting a neutron star that pulsed with deadly radiation. The station was easily the size of a small moon, with countless levels spiraling inward in patterns that hurt to look at for too long. 8 billion inhabitants, Hana read from her display. 147 different species. This is the heart of galactic civilization. The Horizon docked in a bay that could have held 50 ships their size. As they walked down the ramp, Daehyun saw aliens for the first time. Dozens of different forms. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others floated or crawled. One creature looked like living water held together by an invisible force. Ambassador Velarix waited for them. Welcome to Primus Station. Here you will see what 12,000 years of peace has created. They were given quarters in a tower overlooking the station's central plaza. Daehyun stood at the window watching the alien crowds below. Everything was orderly, peaceful, perfect, too perfect. That night someone knocked on his door. Daehyun opened it to find a tall alien with smooth gray skin and large black eyes. Captain Kim, I am Counselor Nix. I represent the Oran delegation. May I speak with you privately? Daehyun let him in. Nix looked around the room carefully before speaking. When he did, his voice was barely a whisper. Captain, you need to understand something. The Council does not negotiate. It assimilates. What do you mean? I have served the Council for 60 years. I have watched as species after species arrived here full of hope. They all believed they would become equal partners. None of them did. Nix's eyes were sad. The Council will take everything that makes humanity unique. They will change you until you fit their vision of perfection, and if you resist, they will eliminate you. You're saying they've destroyed species before? I am saying that the Council's official records show 147 species, but I have found evidence of at least 30 more that no longer exist, species that refuse to comply. Before Daehyun could respond, Nick stood up. I have said too much. But you seem like good people. I wanted you to know the truth before tomorrow's meeting. He walked to the door, then paused. The peace you see here is real, Captain, but it comes at a terrible price. The next morning, Daehyun and Hana were brought to the council chamber. It was a massive dome with seats arranged in ascending circles. Hundreds of aliens sat in judgment, looking down at the two humans standing in the center. High Arbiter Quental sat at the top. He was ancient, his species so old that their bodies had become partially energy. When he spoke, his voice came from everywhere at once. Humans, we have reviewed your history, your wars, your violence, your genetic structure. We have reached a decision. Humanity poses a significant risk to galactic stability. Your aggressive nature, combined with your rapid technological development, makes you dangerous. However, we believe you can be helped. Hana stepped forward. We don't need help. We need partnership. Partnership requires equality. You are not our equals. Not yet. Quental's form pulsed with light. We offer you 3 choices. First, accept our terms. Disarm completely. Allow genetic modification to reduce your aggressive tendencies. Submit to council oversight in all matters. You want to change our DNA? Daehyun couldn't keep the anger from his voice. We want to help you evolve past violence. Many species have undergone this process. It causes no pain. Within 3 generations, humanity will be peaceful, content, safe. And if we refuse, Hana asked, that is your second choice. Return to Earth. Remain isolated. Never expand beyond your current 3 colony worlds. The Council will place a barrier around your space. You will be alone forever. You would trap us in our own system? For the safety of the galaxy, yes. Deathworlders who refuse guidance inevitably turn to conquest. We cannot allow that. Daehyun felt his hands clench into fists. You said 3 choices. What's the third? Quental was silent for a long moment. The third choice is one we hope you will not make. If humanity proves to be an active threat, the Council will act to neutralize that threat permanently. The words hung in the air like poison. Hana looked at Daehyun, her face pale. They both understood. The third choice was extinction. How long do we have to decide? Daehyun asked. 30 days. Use them wisely. Back in their quarters, Daehyun contacted the Horizon. Specialist Borakang answered. She was their intelligence officer, trained to see what others missed. Captain, I've been monitoring Council transmissions. Something strange is happening. What did you find? There's a massive military fleet hidden in the galactic periphery. Ships designed for combat, not exploration. The Council claims they abolished war 12,000 years ago, but they're still building weapons. Hana leaned closer to the screen. How big is this fleet? Thousands of ships. Maybe tens of thousands. And they're all armed with planet-killing weapons. Bora's face was grim. Captain, I think we need to investigate this further. Agreed. But be careful. If the Council finds out what you're doing, they might not let us leave. The next week was spent exploring Primus Station. Dr. Ji Woo-yoon, a human geneticist who had been allowed to join them, spent her days in the Council's vast libraries. She was searching for information about the genetic modifications the Council offered. What she found terrified her. Captain, you need to see this, Ji Woo said, showing him a datapad. I found records of a species called the Corvin. They came from a death world like Earth. The Council offered them the same deal 3,000 years ago. What happened to them? The records are incomplete, but it looks like they refused the genetic modifications. 2 years later, their entire species was gone. Their homeworld was sterilized. The official reason given was a plague. Daehyun felt cold. You think the Council killed them? I think the Council doesn't tolerate species that won't change, and I found evidence of at least 20 more species that vanished under similar circumstances. Jiwoo's hands shook slightly. Captain, we're not the first Deathworlders they've encountered. We're just the first in a long time, and none of the others survived. That evening, Counselor Nix visited again. This time he brought more information. Captain, I have decided to help you. Not because I hate the Council, but because I hate what it has become. We were supposed to bring peace, not enforce conformity. He handed Daehyun a data chip. This contains everything I could find about the enforcement fleet. Ship designs, weapon systems, command protocols. If humanity decides to fight, this information might help. Why are you doing this? Hana asked. Because I remember when the Oran joined the council. We were told we would keep our culture, our independence. Within 5 generations, we had neither. We became what the council wanted us to be. Nix's voice was bitter. I don't want that to happen to humanity. Someone needs to resist. Maybe you are strong enough to succeed where we failed. The next morning, Bora sent an urgent message. Captain, Council security just tried to board the Horizon. I managed to seal the ship, but they know I've been investigating the fleet. We need to leave now. Daehyun made his decision. Prepare for emergency departure. We're getting out of here. Captain, Hana said quietly. If we leave now, we're making a choice. The Council will see it as defiance, I know. But staying means watching them destroy everything that makes us human. I won't accept that. Daehyun looked at his crew. We're going home, and we're going to tell Earth the truth about the Council. They ran through the station corridors. Behind them, Council security forces were mobilizing. Philarix appeared on a nearby screen. Captain Kim, you are making a grave mistake. Return to your quarters immediately. No, Daehyun said simply. They reached the docking bay. The Horizon's engines were already warming up. Tae-sung was at the helm. Captain, I've got 3 council ships trying to block us. They're charging weapons. Are they trying to kill us or just stop us? I don't think they know yet. But we don't have much time. Daehyun strapped into his chair. Take us out. Maximum speed. The Horizon shot out of the docking bay like a bullet. The council ships tried to follow, but human reflexes and desperation gave them an edge. Tae-sung flew through a maintenance corridor that wasn't meant for ships their size. Metal screamed. Warning alarms shrieked, and then they were clear. Space opened up before them. Engaging faster than light drive, Tae-sung said. The stars stretched. The universe folded, and the Horizon escaped. Daehyun watched Primus Station disappear behind them. Hana stood beside him. They'll come after us. I know this means war. I know that too. Daehyun looked at her. But what choice did we have? Let them turn us into something we're not? Let them erase us if we refused? No choice at all, Hana agreed. We fight or we die, maybe both. The journey back to Earth would take 2 weeks. Daehyun used that time to prepare his report. He would tell the United Earth Coalition everything. The Council's ultimatum, the extinct species, the hidden fleet, the truth that galactic civilization was built on conformity and fear. Humanity would have to decide, submit and lose themselves, or resist and face annihilation. Daehyun knew which choice humans would make. They were Deathworlders. The United Earth Coalition chamber was in chaos. Daehyun stood at the center of the storm, watching as the most powerful humans in the solar system tore each other apart with words. You've doomed us all, shouted a delegate from the Europa colony. We should have accepted their terms. Now they'll destroy us. And if we'd accepted, we wouldn't be human anymore, fired back Yuri Petrov, the Mars representative. He was a big man with a scarred face from years of colony building. They wanted to change our DNA, make us docile. Is that what you want? Chancellor Sun Ho Lee raised his hands for silence. The old man looked like he'd aged 10 years in the 2 weeks since Daehyun's return. Please, fighting amongst ourselves won't help. Then what will help? Someone demanded. The Council has given us 30 days to decide. Half that time is already gone. Admiral Kyungmi Shin stood up. She was a legend in the Earth Defense Fleet. A woman who had fought pirates in the asteroid belt and survived ship battles that killed everyone around her. I've reviewed Captain Kim's data. The Council's enforcement fleet is real. Those ships were built to destroy planets. If we fight, we can't win a traditional war. So we surrender. Yuri's voice dripped with contempt. I didn't say that. Admiral Shin's eyes were hard. I said we can't win a traditional war. But Deathworlders don't fight traditional wars. The chamber fell silent. Everyone turned to look at the Admiral. She continued. The Council expects us to either submit or die quickly. They've never faced sustained resistance. They don't know how to fight an enemy that won't give up. That's our advantage. Chancellor Lee looked troubled. Admiral, are you suggesting we prepare for war? I'm suggesting we prepare for survival. If the Council comes, we need to be ready. Not to win, but to make them regret attacking us, a vote was called. The chamber split almost evenly. Some wanted to negotiate further. Others wanted to fortify Earth's defenses. A few even suggested striking first. In the end, no clear decision was reached. Earth's government was paralyzed by fear and disagreement, but Admiral Shin didn't wait for permission. Over the next week, she quietly began mobilizing the defense fleet. Weapons were distributed to colony worlds. Civilian ships were retrofitted with military hardware. Hidden bases were established in asteroid fields throughout the solar system. Daehyun watched it all from the horizon, now docked at Earth's main orbital station. Dr. Jiwoo worked day and night, trying to copy the data Counselor Nix had provided about Council technology. If they could understand the enemy's weapons, maybe they could find weaknesses. "Captain," Jiwoo said one morning, her eyes red from lack of sleep, "I think I found something. The Council ships all use centralized AI coordination. Every vessel in their fleet is connected to a single command network." "That seems like a weakness," Daehyun said. "It is. If we could disrupt that network, their entire fleet would lose coordination. They'd still have weapons, but they couldn't use them effectively." Jiwoo pulled up diagrams on her screen. "But getting access to that network would require us to hack into a Council ship, and I don't know if it's even possible." Meanwhile, Hana was working on a different problem. She was broadcasting humanity's story to the galaxy. Using the Horizon's long-range transmitters, she sent out evidence of the Council's crimes. The extinct species, the forced genetic modifications, the hidden military fleet. Most species are ignoring it, she admitted to Daehyun. The Council has controlled information for so long that nobody questions them. But I've received a few responses. Fringe colonies, independent stations. Some of them believe us. Will they help? No, they're too scared. But they're watching. If humanity fights back, if we show the galaxy that the Council can be resisted, maybe others will find their courage. On day 28, the Council's response arrived. High Arbiter Quintal appeared on every screen across human space. His energy form pulsed with cold light. "Humanity, your time to decide is ending. We have not received your acceptance of our terms. This concerns us. We also know that you have been preparing weapons, fortifying your colonies, spreading false information about the Council throughout the galaxy. These actions demonstrate that you are not ready for membership in galactic civilization." Chancellor Lee appeared on screen to respond. His voice was steady, though Daehyun could see the fear in his eyes. "High Arbiter, we need more time. These decisions affect the entire human species. We cannot rush them. You have had adequate time. We gave you 30 days. That was generous. Many species receive only one." Quintal's form grew brighter. "You have 48 hours to accept our terms. If you refuse, the Council will take action to protect the galaxy from your threat." The transmission ended. Earth fell into stunned silence. Then the panic began. People flooded the streets. Some demanded the government accept the Council's terms. Others called for resistance. Fights broke out. The police struggled to maintain order. Daehyun received an urgent call from Admiral Shin. "Captain, get to Mars immediately. I'm assembling a task force. If the Council attacks, Earth will be the first target. We need commanders in other locations who can keep fighting even if we fall." "You think Earth will fall?" "I think we're facing an enemy that's 12,000 years more advanced than us. Earth might hold for a day, maybe two, but we can make them bleed for every inch." The Admiral's face was grim. "And if we scatter our forces, we make ourselves harder to kill. That's the advantage of being prey, Captain. We know how to survive." The Horizon departed for Mars within the hour. As they left Earth orbit, Daehyun looked back at his homeworld. Blue and white and beautiful. He wondered if he would ever see it again. Tai-sung was quiet at the helm. Finally, he spoke. "Captain, do you think we're doing the right thing? Maybe the Council is right. Maybe violence is primitive. Maybe we should evolve past it." Daehyun thought about that for a long time. Violence is part of us. It's written in our genes. But so is compassion. So is creativity. So is the will to survive against impossible odds. He looked at his young officer. "The Council wants to take away the parts of us they don't like. But you can't just remove parts of humanity and expect the rest to function. We're a package deal. Even if it means we might destroy ourselves, that's our choice to make. Not theirs." They reached Mars and docked at the military station. Yuri Petrov met them personally. "Captain Kim, welcome to the last free human colony. Because that's what we'll be when Earth falls." "You're certain Earth will fall?" "I'm certain the Council will attack. Whether Earth falls depends on how much fight the Admiral has in her." Yuri led them through the base. "We've been preparing. Every able-bodied person on Mars can fly a ship or fire a weapon. We've hidden supplies throughout the colony. If they take the cities, we'll fight from the tunnels. If they take the tunnels, we'll fight from the surface. And if they kill every last one of us, at least we'll die as humans. The 48 hours passed in a blur of preparation. Weapons were distributed. Ships were positioned. Families said their goodbyes, not knowing if they would see each other again. And then, with 12 hours remaining, Chancellor Lee made his final broadcast. People of Earth, people of humanity everywhere, I have spent my life working for peace. I believed that diplomacy could solve any problem. I was wrong. The Galactic Council has given us an impossible choice: submit to their control and lose our identity, or resist and face destruction. I cannot make this choice for all of humanity. So I put it to a vote. Every human with access to a computer can cast their decision. Accept or resist. We have 12 hours to decide our fate. The votes came in, millions of them, billions. Dae-hyun watched the count on his screen. The numbers climbed, accept, resist, back and forth. Too close to call. In the final hour, the count stood at 51% for resistance. Humanity had made its choice. By the narrowest of margins, they chose to fight. Chancellor Lee looked older than ever when he delivered the final message to the Council. High Arbiter Quintal, humanity rejects your terms. We will not submit to genetic modification. We will not disarm. We will not surrender our freedom. We understand that this means war. We know we cannot win, but we will fight anyway. Because that is what humans do. We survive, we resist, we endure. If you come for us, we will make you regret it. That is our promise. That is our threat, and that is our declaration of war. The transmission ended. For a moment, the solar system was silent. Every human held their breath, waiting for the response. It came 2 hours later. Ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, hundreds of them, then thousands. The Council's enforcement fleet had arrived. High Arbiter Quintal's voice echoed across all frequencies. Humanity, you have chosen poorly. The Council has maintained galactic peace for 12,000 years. We will not allow one primitive species to threaten that peace. You will be neutralized. Your military forces will be destroyed. Your colonies will be occupied. Your genetic structure will be modified whether you consent or not. Resistance is futile. You cannot win. Admiral Shin's voice cut through the darkness with fierce joy. All ships? This is Admiral Shin. The enemy has arrived. They think we'll surrender. They think we'll run. They're about to learn what it means to fight a Death Worlder. The Battle of Titan began at dawn, though in space there was no such thing as dawn. Commander Eunbi Hwang checked her fighter's systems one final time. Around her, 200 other human pilots did the same. They were vastly outnumbered. The Council fleet had sent 5,000 ships to take the Saturn shipyards. All wings, this is Admiral Shin. The enemy expects us to defend the shipyards directly. We're not going to do that. We're going to make them chase us through the asteroid rings. Use every rock, every piece of debris as cover. Make them work for every kill. Eunbi grinned inside her helmet. This was the kind of fighting she understood. Not clean battles in open space, but dirty. Desperate combat where cunning mattered more than firepower. The Council ships moved in perfect formation. Beautiful, precise, predictable. The human fighters scattered like insects, diving into Titan's rings. The enemy followed, their perfect formation breaking apart as they navigated the debris field. Eunbi waited behind a chunk of ice the size of a city. Her sensors showed 3 Council ships approaching. She counted down, 3, 2, 1. She fired her engines and burst from cover, missiles already launching. The lead ship never saw her coming. It exploded in a flash of blue light. The other 2 ships turned to engage, but she was already gone, diving back into the rings. This was what it meant to be prey. You struck fast. You disappeared. You survived. All around the rings, similar battles played out. Human pilots used every trick they knew. False sensor signals, mines hidden in asteroids, ramming attacks when ammunition ran out. The Council ships had superior weapons and shields, but they fought like they'd never faced an enemy willing to die to win. On the Council flagship, Fleet Commander Thalveen watched his tactical display with growing unease. His species had served the Council for 8,000 years. They were experienced, professional, but this was different. The humans weren't fighting to win. They were fighting to hurt. Commander, we've lost 40 ships, his tactical officer reported. The enemy has lost 30. They're trading at a favorable ratio. Favorable for us or for them? Thalvin asked. For us, sir. We can afford the losses. They cannot. But Thalvin wasn't sure. The humans showed no sign of retreating. They just kept attacking, wave after wave, as if death meant nothing to them. Yunbi was on her 5th engagement when she saw the opportunity. The Council flagship had moved closer to the battle, trying to coordinate the scattered fleet. It was protected by dozens of escort ships, but there was a gap, a narrow corridor through the defensive screen. Wing commander to all units. I have a shot at their flagship. I'm going in. Yunbi, that's suicide, came Admiral Shin's voice. Yes, ma'am, but if I take out their command ship, the fleet will scatter. They'll lose coordination. Yunbi armed every weapon she had. It's worth it. There was a pause. Then Admiral Shin's voice came back heavy with emotion. Understood, Commander. The rest of the wing will create a distraction. Make it count. Yunbi watched as her squadron mates threw themselves at the enemy fleet. Drawing fire, creating chaos, opening the path. She whispered thanks to each of them as they died. Then she accelerated to maximum speed. Her fighter screamed through the gap. Energy beams slashed past her. One clipped her wing. Alarms shrieked. She ignored them. The flagship grew larger on her screen. Massive, beautiful, doomed. She launched everything. Missiles, torpedoes, every last weapon. And then, when there was nothing left to fire, she aimed her fighter at the flagship's command deck and pushed the throttle to maximum. The impact was glorious. Thalvin felt his ship shudder. Alarms blared. The main view screen showed a human fighter embedded in their hull, right next to the bridge. The pilot was dead, but she'd accomplished her mission. Command and control systems were failing. The fleet was losing coordination. Order the fleet to withdraw, he commanded. Regroup at the outer marker. As his damaged flagship limped away, Thalvin stared at the wreckage of the human fighter. These Deathworlders fought with a ferocity he'd never seen. They didn't just accept death. They embraced it, used it as a weapon. For the first time in his long military career, Thalvin felt something he'd only read about in historical texts. He felt fear. The Battle of Titan ended with the Council fleet withdrawing. Admiral Shin watched them go, tears streaming down her face. They'd lost half their fighters. Yunbi and her entire squadron were gone, but they'd won. Humanity's first real victory against the Council. On Mars, Dae-hyun watched the battle reports with mixed feelings. Pride at the victory, grief for the dead, and worry because he knew this was just the beginning. They'll be back, Hana said quietly. With more ships. Better tactics, I know, but we bought time. Dae-hyun turned to Dr. Min-seok Jang, the engineer who'd been working on the captured Council technology. Please tell me you've made progress. Min-seok nodded eagerly. I have. The Council ships really do use centralized AI coordination. I've been studying the data Counselor Nix provided. I think I can create a virus. Something that could disrupt their entire command network. How would we deploy it? That's the problem. We'd need to physically connect to a Council ship's main computer, which means capturing one intact. Min-seok pulled up schematics. But if we could do it, the virus would spread through their entire fleet. They'd lose coordination. Their perfect formations would collapse. Dae-hyun studied the plans. It was a desperate gamble. But what wasn't these days? How long to prepare the virus? 2 weeks. Maybe less. You have 1 week. Because that's all the time we have before they attack again. The Council didn't wait a week. 3 days after Titan, they returned in force. This time they attacked Earth directly. 20,000 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Their target was clear. If they destroyed Earth, humanity's will to resist would crumble. Admiral Shin deployed every ship she had. It wasn't enough. Not even close. But she'd learned from Titan. She didn't try to win. She tried to delay. Human ships hit the Council fleet in waves. Each wave lasted minutes before being destroyed. But those minutes added up. Hours. A full day. The Council fleet crawled toward Earth, bleeding ships the entire way. On Mars, Dae-hyun received the call he'd been dreading. It was Admiral Shin, her face covered in blood from a head wound. Behind her, the bridge of her flagship was in chaos. Captain Kim, Earth's defenses are failing. We've held for 30 hours, but they're breaking through. I'm sending you the final command codes for the defense fleet. Admiral, you're not giving up. No, but I'm being realistic. When Earth falls, you'll need to continue the fight. Mars, the colonies, Keep humanity alive, Captain. That's an order. Admiral, it's been an honor, Captain Kim. The transmission cut out. 2 hours later, Earth's orbital defenses fell. Council ships began landing across the planet. But humanity didn't surrender. Resistance groups formed in every city. Soldiers fought from building to building. Civilians attacked with whatever weapons they could find. The Council had expected to occupy Earth in a day. It took them 3 weeks, and every meter was paid for in blood. Admiral Shin died in the final battle over North America. Her flagship, crippled and burning, crashed into a Council dreadnought. Both ships were destroyed. In her last moments, she'd taken one more enemy with her. The news reached Mars like a physical blow. Daehyun stood in the command center, staring at nothing. Hana put her hand on his shoulder. We have to keep fighting. That's what she would want. I know. Daehyun straightened up. Minseok, is the virus ready? The engineer looked exhausted but determined. Yes, I just need a way to upload it to a Council ship. I may have a solution, came a familiar voice. Counselor Nix appeared on the communication screen. The Auran looked older, tired. I've been monitoring your fight. I never imagined you'd hold out this long. Counselor, why are you contacting us? Because you've done something I thought was impossible. You've made the Council afraid. Half the species in the galaxy are watching your resistance. Some are starting to question the Council's authority. Nix leaned forward. I want to help. I can gain access to a Council ship. If you send me your virus, I can upload it directly to their command network. They'll execute you, Hana said. Yes, but the Auran will remember that one of our kind helped the Deathworlders resist. That memory will be worth my life. Daehyun looked at his crew, at the engineers and soldiers who'd fought so hard, at Hana, who'd never stopped believing they could win. Send him the virus. Over the next week, the Council consolidated its hold on Earth. Millions of humans were imprisoned. The planet was locked down under military occupation. But resistance continued. Underground networks formed. Sabotage increased. The Council had captured Earth, but they hadn't broken humanity's will. On Mars, preparations for the final gambit continued. Counselor Nix reported that he'd gained access to a Council cruiser. The virus was ready. The moment to strike was approaching. Daehyun spent his night staring at the stars, thinking about Admiral Shin and Commander Yunbi and all the others who'd died. Humanity was losing this war by every conventional measure, but they were still fighting, still resisting, still refusing to give up. Captain, Taesung said one evening, do you think we can really win? Daehyun thought about the question. Winning meant different things to different people. High Arbiter Quental watched his perfect armada fall apart. For 12,000 years, the Council had maintained absolute control over the galaxy. Their technology was superior. Their coordination was flawless. Their victory had been certain. And now it was all crumbling because of one primitive species from a death world. How did they do this? He demanded. His energy form flickered with what might have been anger or fear. How did they penetrate our systems? We believe they had help, High Arbiter. Counselor Nix of the Auran delegation was found dead in a restricted area. He appears to have uploaded the virus. The tactical officer paused. He left a message. He said the Deathworlders deserved their freedom. Quental turned to look at Earth on the main display, blue and white and beautiful, even scarred by war. The humans were still fighting on the surface, still resisting despite being occupied for weeks. Their will simply would not break. For the first time in millennia, the High Arbiter felt something he'd thought his species had evolved past. Doubt on Mars, Daehyun coordinated the human counterattack. The virus had given them a window. Ships that had been hiding for weeks emerged from asteroids and gas giant atmospheres. They struck at the confused Council fleet with everything they had. But Daehyun knew this wasn't enough. They could hurt the Council, make them bleed, but they couldn't destroy them. Not completely. The Council had too many ships, too many resources, too much territory. Eventually, they would adapt, fix their systems, come back stronger. Captain, Hana said, I'm receiving messages from across the galaxy. Species are watching the battle. Some are sending messages of support. A few are even offering to help. Daehyun felt a spark of hope. The broadcast you made, The evidence of the Council's crimes, it's reaching them. Yes, and they're starting to question. If the Council could lie about the extinct species, what else have they lied about? Hana pulled up the messages. Captain, the galaxy is waking up. We just need to give them more time to act. Time is the one thing we don't have. Daehyun looked at the tactical display. The Council fleet was regaining some coordination. Not perfect, but improving. We need to end this now. Before they adapt, Taesung spoke up. Captain, we could contact the High Arbiter directly, offer to negotiate. They won't negotiate, they never have. Maybe that was true before. But we've changed the situation. We've proven we can fight. We've damaged their fleet. We've exposed their lies to the galaxy. Taesung's young face was determined. Maybe now they'll listen. Daehyun thought about it. Every instinct told him to keep fighting, to make the Council pay for every human life they'd taken. But instinct had gotten them into this war. Maybe wisdom could get them out. Open a channel to the Council flagship. Maximum priority. Tell them Captain Kim wishes to speak with High Arbiter Quental. To his surprise, the channel opened immediately. Quental's energy form appeared before them. The ancient being looked at Daehyun with what might have been curiosity. Captain Kim, you wish to surrender? No, I wish to talk. About what? Your species has caused immense damage. You have violated galactic law. You have spread chaos and disorder. What is there to discuss? Peace, Daehyun said simply. Real peace. Not the kind you enforce with weapons and genetic modification. The kind that comes from mutual respect. Quental was silent for a long moment. You believe peace is possible after what has happened? I believe it's necessary. You can keep fighting us. You'll probably win eventually. But how many ships will you lose? How many more species will start questioning your authority? How long before your perfect order collapses? You are threatening us. No. I'm offering you a way out. A way that doesn't end with genocide or endless war. Daehyun stepped closer to the screen. High Arbiter, your council has ruled for 12,000 years. That's impressive. But you've done it by erasing everything that didn't fit your vision. You've created a galaxy without conflict, but also without growth, without change, without the chaos that drives evolution. Chaos is dangerous. So is stagnation. Your species achieved spaceflight 40,000 years ago. How much have you progressed since then? How many new ideas have emerged? How much innovation has your perfect peace produced? Daehyun could see he'd struck a nerve. Humanity achieved spaceflight less than 300 years ago. Look what we've accomplished in that time. Not despite our violence, but because of the drive it creates. The necessity to adapt, to overcome, to survive. Quental's form pulsed slowly. What are you proposing? A new kind of council. One that includes species like humanity, aggressive, unpredictable, dangerous, but also innovative, adaptable, strong. Daehyun gestured to the battle raging around them. You tried to force us to change. It didn't work, so change with us instead. And if the council refuses? Then we keep fighting. We'll lose eventually, but we'll take a lot of you with us, and the rest of the galaxy will see what happened. They'll see that you're not invincible. They'll see that resistance is possible. Daehyun's voice was calm but firm. The choice is yours, High Arbiter. Evolution or extinction, because your old system is dying. We've made sure of that. The connection went silent. Quental's form flickered as if he was consulting with others. Minutes passed, then hours. The fighting continued, but both sides seemed to be holding back, waiting. Finally, after 6 hours, Quental returned. The council has deliberated. We find your proposal interesting, but dangerous. However, you are correct about one thing. The galaxy has become stagnant. Perhaps it is time for change. Daehyun felt his heart race. You're agreeing? We are agreeing to negotiate, not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals. This is unprecedented in council history. But then, so is humanity. The High Arbiter seemed almost amused. You Deathworlders have proven your point, Captain. You can handle war. The question now is, Can you handle peace? We'll find out together. The negotiations took 3 months. They were held on a neutral station, far from both Earth and Primus. Representatives from across the galaxy attended. Some came to support the Council, others came to support humanity. Most came simply to witness history being made. The final agreement was called the Accord of New Beginnings. Humanity would join the Galactic Council as full members. No genetic modification required, no disarmament demanded. In exchange, humanity agreed to accept oversight of their military expansion and to work with the Council to reform its governing structure. The Council would be reorganized. No longer a dictatorship disguised as democracy, but a true alliance of equals. Species would keep their autonomy, their cultures, their right to be different. The enforcement fleet would be reduced and made transparent. Never again would the Council secretly destroy those who disagreed. It wasn't perfect. Many on both sides were unhappy. Some humans felt they'd surrendered after fighting so hard. Some Council members felt they'd given too much to primitive Deathworlders. But it was progress, a step toward something new. On the day the accord was signed, Dae-hyun stood on the observation deck of the negotiation station. Hana joined him. Together they watched the stars, thinking of all those who'd died to reach this moment. Admiral Shin, Commander Yunbi, Counselor Nix, thousands of others whose names would be remembered forever. Do you think it will last? Hana asked. The peace? I don't know. Probably not forever, but maybe long enough to matter. Dae-hyun smiled slightly. We've changed the galaxy, Hana. Proven that the old ways don't work anymore. That's worth something. What will you do now? Go home. Help rebuild Earth. Maybe explore the galaxy without having to fight for survival. He looked at her. What about you? I've been offered a position, teaching at the new Galactic Academy. They want someone who understands both human and alien cultures, someone who can help the next generation learn from our mistakes. You'll be good at that. They stood in comfortable silence, watching ships from 100 different worlds dock at the station. Humanity was no longer alone, no longer fighting for survival. They were part of something bigger now, something that they'd helped create through blood and courage and refusal to give up. Tae-sung found them an hour later. Captain, we've received word from Earth. They're preparing a memorial for everyone who died in the war. They want you to speak at the dedication. I'm not good at speeches. You don't have to be. Just tell them the truth. Tae-sung smiled. Tell them what we learned. That being apex predators doesn't mean we have to be monsters. That strength without wisdom is just violence, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose peace when you have the power to choose war. Dae-hyun nodded slowly. When do we leave? Tomorrow. The horizon has been repaired. She's ready to take us home. The journey back to Earth took 2 weeks. Dae-hyun spent the time writing his speech, thinking about everything that had happened since that day they'd found the probe. It felt like a lifetime ago. In many ways it was. Humanity had been transformed by the war. So had the galaxy. When they finally entered Earth's orbit, Dae-hyun was struck by how much damage remained visible from space. Entire cities were still in ruins. But he could also see the signs of rebuilding, construction everywhere, life returning, humanity doing what it did best, surviving and adapting.